Good afternoon. It's been a minute. I apologize. I've just been really busy with everything. Um, just a lot going on. No excuse, but I'm doing the filming that I do for the week. It was a lot easier for me to do that, like last time, to preload 3, 4, 5 videos, upload them throughout the week. That way, when I am home working, I'm not having to discombobulate all my stuff whenever I am here. So again, welcome back to Diversified Diecast. I got a real treat for everybody today. We're going to be looking at all the customs I've been waiting for. It feels like a coon's age, right? I mean, it's been a minute since my guy in Kentucky's had these. But in all fairness, the guy has a Brady Bunch family like I do. Okay, he works a full time job and he does this, on the side, and it's one of his hobbies, and he's really good at it. So I trust the process. I don't rush the artist. I let him just do his thing. And man, does it pay off? These were definitely worth the wait. We have a little bit of everything here. I think the best way for me to describe kind of what they are and what they become to what they are now is probably just do a frontal. I'll probably skip the turntable just so we're not making this super long, but I will kind of give you all the backstory of what these cars were, where I got them from, how they started out, and kind of my vision and or his vision collectively. There's some real treats in here. So if you guys want to know his info, just shoot to me in the comments. I can figure out a way to connect with you guys. Let me talk to him first before I put everything on blast, because trust me, some of you guys that are looking at this are going to want to know who's doing this work. Extremely talented individual. He's a Facebook friend of mine. Been dealing and talking with him for probably close to a year now, maybe a little longer. But I would, I am so glad that these came. Some of them are going on the shelf up here. A few more are going to go to work in rotation. And again, I want to show you guys, if you take the time and you put your imagination to it in the right way, you can have some really nice work done. So get Kellen to pause the camera for me. She's helping me out today in between chores and what have you. And I'll get you guys a better look at these things up close and we'll go from there. All right. So from starting off one by one, this will be kind of a mixed collaboration of stories. So this was a truck that's a pretty basic mainline from Matchbox that I got in a huge trade with a guy that I used to trade with a lot in Arkansas and didn't have any wheels and tires on it. And obviously I'd seen the casting, on Facebook and what have you. And I talked to Kentucky Custom. That's going to be his nickname I give him, just so you guys know who I'm referring to. And I said, hey, get some wheels, do a wheel swap on this thing for me, print some. I don't care. Just kind of do your thing. This is what he come up with. And I'm very happy with it. He's got some kind of rubber tire on there. This is a very fitting wheel for this thing, and it could not have come out any better. I'm real big into outdoors and hunting and fishing, and not on overland, but I would if I could afford it. But if I was going to have a heavy rig to go outdoors, it'd be something like this, and this is exactly how I'd do it. So I'm not sure if he bought these. He gave me little descriptions on a few of them, but not every single one. But there's the first one. So a plain old mainline that was destined for the trash. I don't know if the guy out of Arkansas initially planned to do a wheel swap on him, or the axles got bent and he just saved the casting or what. But that's the story on this one. So they call this what do we call this thing? Matchbox Prospector, I guess, because it's got all the mining equipment stuff on top for prospecting gold and whatnot. So there's that one. Okay, this was a nice little surprise. I did not know I was getting this thing. He posted a bunch of pictures on Facebook and tags me in a lot of stuff when he's working on my things. And I love the Cybertruck and the Cyberquad just for it's kind of the pop culture, relation for this time period. Everybody has their opinions about them, but they're cool. You always recognize what they are. And when I saw him do this thing, I thought that thing was so neat. He did like an anodized treatment on it. I'm not really sure how he did it, but obviously it's basically the light green, over the Zamac finish that they come in. And what more fitting decal to have on it than Waste Management? And food for thought, Waste Management is a really involved organization down here in Southeast Texas. We used to live right down the street from one of their big facilities where they basically house all their trucks, and it's like a call center, if you will. So kind of neat that I ended up getting this thing as a bonus. He said, "Hey, if you don't like it, you can trade it for a Tri-5 Chevy or an M2." And I said, "I haven't told him anything, but if you're watching Kentucky Custom, this one's not coming back. This one's going to stay with me." So there's that one. Square body. I noted on another video that I did probably a month or two ago that I love this Ram truck, obviously because it's a square body A3 Silverado from Hot Wheels. But for some reason, they had a real small, like perfect casting split right here in the grill. Well, he made a comment to me on Facebook, said, "Hey, send me that truck, give me a donor casting, or he may have one there, and I'll do a swap on it." And what I love about how he does a lot of the customs and the wheel swaps and whatever, when he does take them apart, he actually drills and taps the casting, which I like. Some of these are going to have some glue sets, just because it's easier, or sometimes you blow out from drilling, it happens. But at least he makes the attempt to do it correctly. And this thing could not have come out any better. At least this truck is fixed. It was in really good shape. It had a couple little, imperfections, if you will, from just being a Hot Wheels mainline. But now she's ready to go back in the collection and serve her purpose. So there's that one. Okay. Some of you may remember this truck. This was in one of my Chevy Silverado mainline videos, if you will. It was the Dairy Farm egg toting truck. It's a Matchbox casting from the late 90s. A buddy of mine gave it to me. And he had picked up on comments and us kind of conversations that I had a 2002 just like this. It was a fleet side, not a step side. But he said, "Hey, send me that truck. I know you're not crazy about the livery on it, and I'll paint it up for you, and you'll have it for your collection." So, I mean, look at the detail on this grill. These things are super hard to paint, and for him to get that kind of detail, I mean, hell, it looks like a giant lightning from this far away, right? So this is a really nice treat. These step sides, I used to love them. I didn't want one on extended cab, but if I was going to have this truck in a single cab back in the day, prior to when I owned my 2000 and my 02, there's a Z71 like this. These were super popular, and my son's 10th gen F-150 is a step side, and that thing gets all kinds of compliments just being parked in front of my house because you just don't see them anymore. All right, so about these gassers, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think there's one or two more I didn't put in the video. Again, this was from the guy, all these gassers, from the guy I did a big trade with, from the guy in Arkansas. And for some reason, I guess he had intended on doing some wheel swaps, or he may have bought them at one of his swap meets or, little diecast car shows that he went to. But I got them all with no wheels and axles. So they were basically just bare castings. They still had the rivets in them. And I sent them to Kentucky Custom. I said, "Hey, man, I love Tri-5 Chevys. The 55 Bel Air, especially a gasser, is one of my dad's all-time favorites. And, American Graffiti had a part to play with that for he and I. And I said, I just don't want to see these things go in the trash. I love the gasser. I love the Tri-5, especially the 55. And figure out something to do with these things." So this is one of his renditions. These are printed wheels that he did. It's a wheel and tire combo. And he did the hand paint on the inside of these. And this is what he come up with. This one was also a Tampo strip. It was also the Guster, just like this one here. So he sent me some messages when he was working on these things months ago. He said, "Man, I had to do one different. That Guster livery is just not really my thing." So that's how this one come up to be what it is. Come out really nice. And then this one here is some pie crust wheels that he also printed and hand painted. And he's got some smaller pizza cutters on the front. What makes this thing look so funny, I'll get to this in a minute, is the casting that Hot Wheels does on these. It doesn't do this casting any favors. They had to do that big bulk support, for what would be just a straight tube axle or a straight I-beam axle. But still, nonetheless, it's really cool. And I just couldn't see these things go to the trash can, or the junk pile. So, okay. Y'all watch a lot of my videos. Y'all know I'm very fond of the Ford Torino, the Ford Torino GT, the Ford Torino Talladega, any of those big Fords from 68 to 72 or 3. I love them, right? And this was just a plain old mainline from, I don't know, probably 2012, 13, 14, somewhere in there. Had a little playware on it. I told him, hey, just kind of dress it up a little bit, keep it kind of original. So he dabbed some paint on it here and there, a little touch-up spots, did a really good color match on it. And he also printed these Mag 500 style wheels and threw some rubbers on them. So again, this is just a plain old throwaway car that I just couldn't stand to see go in the trash, and he fixed it up. So there's a drill and tap for his wheel swap. Okay, this guy right here, I'm going to try to slowly move the camera over as we get around to these things. I can probably do something like this just to help keep things into view. I'm not going to go much further than that, but we'll see. I call them Tomicas. Some people call them Tomicas. I'm not really sure. But again, anytime I find one of these in a trade pile or a junk pile or whatever I get, I hang on to them because these things are really nice from way back and they're just hard to beat. And when he showed me the candy paint that he put on this thing, I wanted to kind of video this one out in the sun and do a short on it. I just could not see this thing go in the trash pile. And again, he knocked it out of the park. Did a rubber wheel swap on it. Very period correct wheel, for this car. And this is one of my favorite Hondas. This and the S2000. I'm a big rear wheel drive guy, not crazy about front wheel drive. I do like all the Hondas and all the other cars, from the JDM scene, but very fond of the NSX, Honda or Acura, as well as the Honda S2000. You couldn't make a better machine. So this thing come out stellar, man. Got a little Tempo license plate on there, a little detail on the back here. Got some chrome paint. I mean, it's just everywhere you look. This thing it's banging, man. I've got a little JDM, Japson on there. This thing was really hard to not bother him to send this one standalone because I knew it was going to be nice. And these things roll super great. I mean, all these ones with rubber tires, they are just spot on, Okay, this was also one of I think these were like early 90s, maybe late 80s Hot Wheels castings. I had a few of them growing up. It's just a plain old Jeep Scrambler CJ8. These things were in rough shape, and he does a really good job of trying to get all the imperfections out, but some of these are just too far gone. One of them had a bent bedside on there. That may be still the one that he's working on, but did a little hand detailing on the front, put the black paint to implicate, radiator behind the 7-slat grill, Tempo on the hood. Obviously a great touch. And painted the top. And these are not the wheels and tires that come on it. This is more like a Hot Wheels premium wheel swap, but I do love the club tread, kind of like an old Dunlop Mud Rover. I was super stoked when he sent me pictures of these things. He always sends like little Easter eggs, like he'll work on something else and I'll see one of these in the background. I just got to keep bugging him about, oh man, it's a coming, But again, he did a nice cleanup and finish on the bottom of the castings, keeping these things original. But these things could not have come out any better. And they roll just like a Hot Wheels premium. They're next to perfect. All right. A work counterpart who's got an office next to me will definitely love this guy. This was also a very misused and abused junk car that was in one of the piles from the guy in Arkansas. And again, it went into the Kentucky Custom pile. And I sent it to him and I said, dude, I got to have Sonny Crockett's Testarossa. I don't care how you do it, how you go about it, just make it happen. Eventually, I want to have him do a Magnum PI, 308, if I come across one of those that's in dire need of restoration. But again, we got even got the Florida license plate. I mean, come on. Like, look at this thing. This is a 30-year-old casting that was beat to hell and just didn't have a chance of coming back to life until it goes to someone like him. So this one's definitely going to go on a desk at work. The guy who's next to me, he and I talk about Miami Vice all the time. Fun fact, I had a third birthday party in 1987 where my thing was sponsored as Miami Vice. I got the boat. I got all the toys from back then, and I've loved the show ever since. Okay, this thing right here was also one of the pretty much every car in here initially came from the guy in Arkansas, and it was a mixture of deals that I had done with trades, from several different trades, and they were basically just. I really wished I could have inserted before and after photos. Maybe later on, when I get better into editing and I get more in that scene, I'll do that. But this thing was history. I mean, it was. Again, the casting was in decent enough shape where I figured he could probably revive it. Which you can see the windshield. He tried to clean some of it up, but it was just too bad, right? But I'm still able to open the doors. And he said this thing was a super pain in the ass. It was basically a direct quote on this thing. 3D printed some side pipes with the heat guards on there. This is an old super fast matchbox from. This one's probably from the late 70s, early 80s, being a Lesney. The casting's dated for 72, but this car was probably like a 70. Kind of hard to say. They quit making the Javelin, I think, in 73. So it may have been mid 70s. But nonetheless, I love the AMC livery. This is so fitting for this car. They were always really well known for having red, white, and blue, which I love. That was kind of my fondness to them. Whether it was the AMX or the Rambler, or I mean, there was all kinds of models that made that love. But this thing is super neat. I was very glad to get this one back. And what's weird is, from a distance, whenever it was, I think it was previously like a metallic gold color. You would have never dreamed this was a AMC Javelin unless you got to start really looking at it real hard. Because I didn't think that's what it was until I turned it over and saw it. But there you have that one. All right, another Scrambler. I did ask him to keep the original wheels on this one because they really weren't in too bad a shape. Back then, these are ones that came with real riders, rubber, if you will. But I love the color he decided to go with on this one because it was very fitting to have these things in metallic gold, or the golden eagles, or the metallic brown tans, buckskin and what have you. And it matches the interior color really well too. So again, did a hand paint on the rear, tempoed license plate. And this, I believe, like the other one, was probably a 88 to 92 or 3, somewhere in there. Because I remember I had some of these brand new. There's your hand painting. Got Texas plates on there. How about that? Just think about that. See, it's all the details, man. Leave it up to an artist. Just leave it alone. Let them do their thing, and they'll produce. Okay, another gasser that needed a wheel swap. This is really kind of a personal favorite of mine out of a lot of them, just because he did such a good job. Back then they were really well known to not have matching wheels and tires. That was the intent of the gasser. It was basically kind of a culmination of parts and items just to get together, just so you can get on the track. And this is no exception. So you got like a Steely with a dress cap on the front, and this big chrome reverse style, slick wheel in the rear. And I love the livery on this car. This is a mainline from, I don't know, years ago. They did on the 55 gasser from Hot Wheels. Like I said, he just glued a bunch of these because they were already pretty tore up. And no harm, no foul. I get it. They're good and solid. They ain't coming off of there. He uses really good products and materials. He's done this for a while, so doesn't bother me one bit. You're never going to see that until you pick it up and look at it anyway. Here's another one. Again, this really kills the look of these cars, but he did do some detailing up front. And this is one he did a custom job on as far as the paint. And it could not have come out any better. I mean, this thing is, it's insane. Look at the tires on this thing. So, got the Try Me license plate on there. Very nice. This thing come out super sweet. Here's a spoiler. Look at this thing. Bro. I mean, I sent him the light blue 83 Chevy, and I can't remember if I sent him. Oh, I sent him to do a custom, and he had, I guess, a spare insert for the casting for that Fram truck. Or I may have sent him an extra. I can't remember. But when I told him just to do me up a custom Silverado square body, this is not what I was expecting, and it is slamming. I mean, that tempo on there, please. And green's my favorite color. Olive drab, lime green, hunter green, forest green. I don't care. Turf green. This thing is sick, man. I mean, wheel choice is great. The stance is great. It rolls superb. I mean, it's did a really, really nice job on the tail light paint. That's so hard to do with a small 1 or 2 bristle brush, but still, it looks great. This came out. I saw a brief picture of this thing, and I had no clue it was going to look like that until I pulled it out of the little. He sent everything kind of in some like sealed foam. I'd never seen anyone do that. It's pretty neat. It does a really good job protecting the cars during shipment, besides just the bags or bubble wrap. And when I pulled this thing out of the package, my jaw literally dropped. I was like, no way. I mean, it's so hard to paint these 164s, to get them perfect. And this was no exception. Again, the right way to do it. Okay. Another gasser he did with the hollow livery on there. Again, this wasn't due to him, whoever had them before. They were really beat up. I think they used 2 of a drill bit. That was all he could do. These things roll pretty good to me. Look at this. Super quiet. Rear rider style tire. This is just from one of us. I'm not sure if these are rear riders or not. They might be. They look really similar to the wheels that are on the Nissan 180SX. Not saying they're that wheel, but they're built like a real rider's, right? But they may just be some wheel kit he had. Okay. This guy. I love a first gen Mazda Miata for a number of reasons. And what? When he sent me pictures of this thing, I said, dude, it's going to be tough to keep this away from my youngest because she loves pink. Anything remotely close to Barbie, Monster High, I mean, you name it. And she loves Hot Wheels, Matchbox. She loves the diecast things. She has her own car collection. And the little 3D print head hoop there, really nice touch. And panel on tail lights, also very difficult to do on such small casting. And this thing does not look any better. I mean, when you think Mazda Miata, that right there is what comes to mind in a lot of people's heads. Yeah, I love the casting, by Hot Wheels because it's double die cast. It's just got really nice weight to it. And a lot of the liveries they put on these things were really cool and just really enjoyable for all the years that I've collected these things as a kid. Getting back into it now, it's neat. All right, we'll slowly make our way over to here. We'll probably leave the frame there for now. Okay. Another gasser with the Picus wheels. Rubber tires on these. Implicates like a old school slick. Also really nice. And he designs all this stuff, and everything is him. I can't stress to you that the amount of work and time and effort that he does into not just my stuff, but stuff he does for himself and other people, in this hobby, because he posts a lot of pictures of all his projects. It is witnessing true raw talent. That's all I can say. It's stunning what he comes up with in the head of his, and he takes feedback and ideas from other things he sees, and it's just really neat. All right, we got 3 more gassers, but I'll save one of the other ones for the last. This one's pretty similar to this guy here. Rear rider style wheels, chrome 5-spoke. Really fitting. This is the only one I have in this livery. Not sure what year it came from, but also rolls really good. You know, I mean, it's hard to beat. You know. All right. This is another one that he did some paint treatment on. These came with the. I don't remember seeing these wheels in this color on these. I know they come with white walls with gray, but a part of me thinks that he painted these wheels gold, taped them off, and pulled all the tape out because I had never seen this wheel. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty positive that's what we're dealing with here. But again, it's another Guster, 55 Bel Air gasser. That he put wheels and tires on there for me. Got it back together. And then what I love about this, I was wondering why he sent me a picture of it whenever he was sending me mock-ups and stuff. And I'm telling him right now that this is how we should do a few more if I get something like this. Work on some of the detailing, maybe put something up in here, duplicate some kind of, full bell housing and maybe an oil pan. Because this is really the chassis they should have stuck around these cars. It allows you to see straight tube axle, big leaf springs, under axle. This could even turn into a little bit more pronounced, jug tank in the front where the fuel was. It's almost like you see this as a teaser. It's just not there. Why do you do these things, Kentuck? Anyway, this is really cool. I love the stance of this car. It's a great wheel and tire combo. Just kind of gives us a little glimpse of what he may be able to do, in the future for me or other people who are wanting to, get some customs done. And I think he nailed it. And this is all him. So again, needs a little more work. You got some traction bar action going on back here, but it's a good start. It is a very intriguing piece, and I will love to display it. Okay, last thing. This is another one. I love these cars. I prefer a 68 to 72, but these cars were always kind of, in my eyes, the affordable vet, and probably still are. It's an old Matchbox Lesney. It's probably from early 80s. He actually printed a small luggage rack that was next to perfect in the photo, but it didn't make it through shipping. The little foam enclosure, carriers you send them in, it grabbed just a little bit of the luggage rack and tore all the pieces. So I just tore it off and told him about it. And this car will probably go back to him when he gets time. He can print another one and put it back on there. But this thing was all beat to hell. It had like zero paint on it. And I said, hey man, do it up. So did a restoration on the base, put a nice coat of Quicksilver or, like a bright aluminum paint on there. And got the body all straightened out. And that's what we got. There are a few more he still does have that are mine that he's working on, which, hey, take your time, do your thing. So we'll have a few more to show off. Obviously, when those come in the mail, maybe a mail drop, we'll showcase those for you guys. But there you have it. Man, I'm still like, I can't believe these things are mine, right? I mean, pick one. They're all good in their own manner. So hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm going to get this thing uploaded so you guys can watch it. You haven't had anything to watch in close to 2 weeks from the channel. I apologize for that. So let me watch it, make sure it's all good and the sound's good, and I'll try to upload today. Hopefully that the YouTube server is going to allow us to upload some things that don't flash and do all the pixelation and all that BS that they do when you upload in the middle of the day sometimes, and sometimes signal gets interfered. But that's it for now. I've got tons more to open besides what I've already showed y'all and told y'all about. I'll work on getting a couple groups together and we'll get some videos knocked out today, and you guys can watch them throughout the week. So if you haven't subscribed, please do like, tag, share, all that good stuff. Let everybody know what we're doing. I'm trying to get a little bit of varied content for everybody, and stay tuned. It's all going to be great. So you guys have a good afternoon. God bless.